Hey guys. Yeah, as you can see here, I have two phones. And you're probably wondering why that is. Well, first of all, for any of you that's followed me for quite some time, this here is my J3 Luna Pro, my Samsung J3 Luna Pro, which still functions, basically like a mobile device. It's mainly, it's a phone still, but what it has inside is a new SIM card that came from the phone I just showed you. It's still functional and everything when it comes to a lot of other things, like Facebook, Google Duo, stuff like that. The only problem though with this, when you get down to it, the only problem is it's been dropped several times. And for anybody that knows about dropping their phones, you kind of understand exactly what the end result will be. It still functions, but it kind of messes up at times. It's like, for example, and I'm not saying this phone isn't that way, because I think no matter what kind of phone you get, whether you drop it or you don't, it kind of acts that way. But basically, this phone has been dropped many times to the point that I could be on Facebook or getting ready to load my Facebook app, like right here. I could be getting ready to load the Facebook app, and all of a sudden, just like that, and all of a sudden, if you will, this, like, Spotify will come on, or like I'm going to go to Facebook, but then I decide I don't want to go to Facebook, I'll just shut Facebook off. Or instead I'll go to Spotify, but then say I don't want to go to Spotify, I shut Spotify down, or at least close the app, and I'll go to Facebook, Spotify still comes on. Stuff like that. Now, it's still functional, don't get me wrong, it really is still functional. But there is, basically, like I said, some bugginess at times. The other thing as well that I noticed is the battery would get lower over time. It would get lower over time. Now, the one thing I've learned about this one is it gives you the option, I'll show you that in a moment, to close down all the apps simultaneously that you're not using, so you could save energy and power. The other thing as well, it's a lot more advanced. For a cheaper, more cost-efficient price, it is. Again, not saying this one didn't do its job, it did. It's got a lot of good functions in it, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, over time, I've noticed, like I said, the battery would get a lot slower. I don't know why. Even when I would have it in my pocket at work, and I wouldn't be using it, the battery would get lower and lower. Now, I do go to the system settings on this, and I clean it out a lot. I go to basically, if I can get to it, system settings right there, and it's giving me a bit of a notice, and it says device maintenance. On that phone right there, it's called device care, but here you can see it says device maintenance, and when I go to device maintenance, it's basically telling me, hey, I need to clean this thing. And the other thing that's weird about it as well is, even though this had less internal storage space than the one I have now, the storage space internally or SD wise would get confused. In other words, it wouldn't know internally what it had and what it didn't have. And it would take a lot longer to, kind of go to maintenance and finish that up. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, it's stuck right there at 65. Then right there it says 79% out of 100. Now, the storage is pretty high because I cleaned out a lot of stuff. But basically, even for 7.18 megabytes, it's saying clean out. And it only cleaned about, it cleaned about 100, it got to 100%. Now, when you go to the other part of it, which is the RAM, and you clean that out, it goes a lot higher. the point is, what I'm getting at is, even though this phone still functioned, even though it still functioned somewhat with all the apps and everything, the battery would get low, would get low a lot faster. It would get hotter a lot faster, like it is right now. I can feel it's getting a lot hotter. Also, the connection with the phone, like when I would call somebody, and it wasn't even at my job, because my job has free Wi-Fi and all that, and people are using the Wi-Fi there. It wouldn't be at my job either. But basically, anytime I tried to call, the phone would kind of cut down a little bit, like it wasn't, really working. It's like I could hear the person, but not as well. So, I knew the time was coming to get a new phone, but I was willing to tolerate it because of financial reasons. Like, I was willing to still deal with this, hoping that maybe I get, hoping the phone would fix itself, like with updates and all that. And that's the other thing I would do. I would check for updates, to see what other updates are out there, like I'm checking right now. And then it would say no update available. Then I would go to about this device, and it would tell me, I think the last time it was updated was around 2018. That's when it was last updated. So you scroll through all that, and it kind of gives you the idea of when it was last updated and everything. But again, like I said, the other reason was it was getting, the battery would, fade out, die out faster than normal, and basically the connection sometimes of the phone, like when you're calling, even if you're in a clear space, would kind of break up a little bit. As well as the other thing that got to me is, I don't know if it was just my headphones, because the big headphones that I have here, they work perfectly fine. So I don't know if it was the headphones or what it was or something, but something started to occur with the volume. Like I couldn't with the not the volume, but yeah, with the audio a little bit. The audio would start to kind of act up a little bit, but it fixed itself. I'm thinking maybe. But it did fix itself. I'm thinking it's kind of the audio. I think it was the earphones. But there were times where the audio would kind of mess up. In fact, it would even like kind of glitch a little bit during songs. Not very rarely, but overall, what I'm saying is there was some issues that were happening, and I think it was because I dropped this several times, and also there was a situation where I accidentally clicked on a page that was basically not supposed to be clicked on. It was basically more along the lines of a virus page that I did get rid of, and I had to basically do a massive cleaning. I had to do another, device maintenance, device care, if you will, on it to clean out what remained of that virus or attempted virus thing by that website. Now, like I said, basically the phone. It still did its job, even to the very end. It still did its job. But I just felt that the time was coming to get a new one. And again, along with the fact that it was hot, it would get hot and everything. The other thing that got me, even when I was at home, with the Wi-Fi and everything, when I would try to do a live stream on YouTube, I understand the LTE 4G network on the outside is not the best for a live stream unless you're in a clear area and there's no interference. But you wouldn't expect that at home. You would expect at home that you would get a decent lighting. You would get some decent, you would get a decent stream because you're working off the 5G of your Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, I ended up basically getting similar, sometimes streaming issues when it came to the Wi-Fi. And when I do streaming with the Wi-Fi, I don't get that. But here I did. So there were some issues coming up, but still, like I said, I would tolerate it. I would still tolerate it, kind of utilize it, use it when I needed to, because honestly, it was the only phone I had. Now, what really got me to get a new phone in the process was not just that, but what really inspired me to get this, which is a Samsung A10e, which came out this year. Which inspired me to get this was not only the fact that I needed a new phone, and not only was the cost efficient enough for me to get at my job, but I guess you could say it was a little bit of enviness. Okay, so let me give you, and what I mean by that is, I'll give you the short story. You see, for months, one of my family members had been telling my mom, I'm going to get you a new phone. I'm going to get you a new phone. Because the phone she had was good, but it was a very small phone. In fact, it was smaller than this. It was about half the size of this phone. About right here. It was about this big. About half the size of this phone. Just about. And maybe a little above half the size, but just around half the size of that phone. But anyway, her phone was a ZTE Android, and it was by T-Mobile. So long story short, my family member who has her on their T-Mobile plan was saying, I'm going to get you a new phone. I'm going to get you a new phone. Unfortunately, due to some personal circumstances and everything that's gone on, they haven't had a chance to do that. So I thought, out of the kindness of my heart, I would step up, because my hours were picking up at the time. I would step up to the plate and get my mom a new phone. The other thing, and the reason I wanted to get her one, is because her phone was acting up as well. Now, did it update to be current in software? No, just like mine, it already did most of its updates. But basically, her phone would break up sometimes, despite being part of the T-Mobile network, which is supposed to be a good network. It would break up no matter where she was at, either at her job, in the parking lot at Flying J, at my job, getting ready to go in and shop a little bit, even in the parking lot here at our house. She would end up kind of breaking up a little bit. It would break up a little bit, and the phone would act up like it wouldn't really do its job the way it's supposed to. I mean, like my phone here, like this phone, it still functioned. She was still able to watch YouTube. She was still able to Google, even speak into it to get Google to look for something. She was still able to do all that. The problem was the phone was just acting up to the point that it was still functional, but when it would come to trying to talk to somebody, it would crack up too much. It would basically break up a little bit more than she would like. So like I said, my family member decided she was going to get her a new phone, but again, due to personal circumstances that I'm not going to mention, she ended up not being able to do that. So, long story short, I stepped up to the plate, went and got my mom a new phone. Now, originally, I got her this phone. No, and it wasn't this phone. It was what was it? It was a TCL phone. It was a TCL, what was it? TCL something. I can't think of it right now. But I got her a TCL phone for a lot cheaper than this kind of a phone is. And my thought process was, hey, my job is advertising that Family Mobile / Straight Talk is powered by T-Mobile. Maybe it'll work, right? Wrong. Because as I found out through a lot of trial and error, that even though it says it's powered by T-Mobile, it's powered by the antennas of T-Mobile. Just like some services, like Straight Talk and all of them, are powered by the antennas of Verizon and AT&T. The same with Family Mobile and Straight Talk. They're powered by the antennas of T-Mobile, not by T-Mobile itself. So basically it's not universal compatible. Well, it's not easy to switch over like I would do with my phone, like I did with this phone and the phone prior. So after a lot of trial and error, is what I'm trying to say. After a lot of trial and error, Finally did get her the phone that what I have, the same kind of phone that I have, from T-Mobile. Got her a shell just like I did. Got her a screen protector, which I have not yet gotten, but I will eventually. And she's all ready to go. She's all set to go. Now, again, I mentioned earlier that I got this phone because, of course, I needed a new phone due to the fact of what was going on with this one. But also, I was a little envious. I will admit that. I was envious at the fact that I basically spent the money to get her this newer phone, which she deserves. She needs more than anything, believe me, because it allows her to call, check up on things, as well as look on Facebook, Google, a lot easier than she could have with the old phone. So, anyway, long story short, I was a little envious. I will admit that. And honestly, I'd been thinking about getting a new phone, period, for quite some time. But like I said, I was willing to deal with this for as long as I could. But and the reason was, financially, I couldn't really afford it until recently. And that's why I decided to finally get the Samsung A10, just like the Samsung A10e, just like my mom. Now, what's interesting about this is it is a lot more smoother. You could see that. It's a lot more smoother. It's a lot more spacious. But what's interesting about this is you see these dotted lines here on the bottom? The J3 Luna Pro didn't even have those. You had to, I think, press buttons on the side or something like that to get to all the to show all the pages and apps that were currently open to get the opportunity to close them all. Well, this here kind of erases that, because what it does is when you do this, it brings up that, and then boom, you just close it all. And then what it does is when you go to settings and you go to what is it? It's right here, device care, their version of device maintenance. It will show you if it's at 100% or it needs to be maintenance. And it's at 100%. It actually helps to do that, because my mom was wondering, Brian, why is my power going down so fast? Why is all this? And then when me and my older sister kind of showed her how to fix that a little bit in different ways, it's now working more properly. Because what people don't understand is the power is when you keep apps on in the background, that power takes up a lot of power, so your phone drains a lot faster. The other thing about this is it's a 32 gigabyte, which means, we'll go back to settings here. Back to settings. What it means is right there, it's got a lot more internal gigabyte space. Heck, I can even do a video with the internal space on there if I wanted to, just like I did the other day. I did one video which gets saved to my SD card on here, and then I did another which I basically did with the internal storage as well. And the live stream's a lot better when I use YouTube here at home, and it is slightly better, if not a little bit better, when I use it on the outside with the 4G LTE network. But yeah, it's a lot better. It's basically like a Kindle in the palm of your hand, if you will. The other thing as well is the camera functionality. Excuse me. Is the camera functionality. It gives you all the same options similarly. Panorama, Pro, photo, video. But the one thing it does do is it gives you a lot more options, like with how to visualize it. Like here, you see all these settings right here. And in this one I've been using lately because it really brightens up things. And you can see that in the camera. So it really helps out in the long run. Like even if I want to go vintage, which should be coming up like right there, black and white, or vintage, or sepia, whatever, or black and white and all that, classic, grayscale. It's got it all there. A lot more options. And the way it's viewed is the rear video size is 1080p. So that's a big improvement. So you get 1080p on both of them. You also get the HDR, or the high efficient video option, which allows you to record in HEVC, if you will. You get the HDR option when you do photos. And you get a lot more on here than you would on the J Pro. So overall, though, it is a more advanced phone, and the fact is, it came out in June of this year. It came out in June of this year. I think to counter whatever Apple had brought out before they did the iPhone 11. So it came out earlier this year as a counter to whatever Apple was doing and whatever higher, more expensive Samsung phone they had brought out. So overall, it is a better phone in many aspects, and which is good. And what it allows you to do is, if you already have, because I put the SIM card from here into here, it actually was able to not only retain all my information, but because I had the same phone number and it was on that SIM card, it was able to transfer, I guess via cloud or whatever, anything else that was on here to here, which I did like. So yeah, overall, this phone is definitely a lot better. I will put it like that. It is definitely a lot better. This phone still is active, still works. What I'll probably do with this, because I do have a SIM card in there, is I'll probably make it a backup. So in case anything happens, we can have a backup phone down the line. But overall, the Samsung A10e is definitely a good phone. I'm really happy about it. I mean, combined together, if you take away the taxes and all that, combined together, you know, without taxes and any other accessories, you're looking at an average of $335 between me and my mom when it comes to both having the same phone. I mean, I got her phone from T-Mobile, which is why it was a little bit more, but she is worth it. My mom is worth it. And me getting mine for like almost $70 less, $75 less at my job because of my discount. But I do recommend, if you're looking for an affordable phone, whether you have a service like T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T, or if you have a service like Straight Talk, Family Mobile, or whatever, that's, you know, pay per month, if you will, I would definitely recommend getting this, the A10, the Samsung A10e. It would be worth it. It may not be the fanciest phone, but it is worth it in the end. Trust me. Trust me on that. So, anyway, though, that's pretty much it on showing you my new phone and comparing it and letting you know why I changed from the J3 Luna Pro to that. So let me know what you guys all think, though, down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. And I am out.